Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 1980s, Where the Buffalo Roam. Before we get into it, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you can follow me at Junior D's. You can follow Corey at Corey_idol. And if you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kiss the Reviews. Let's get into the cast of 1980s, Where the Buffalo Roam. This film stars Peter Boyle as Lazlo, Bill Murray as Hunter S. Thompson, and Bruno Kirby as Marty Lewis. This movie is basically, and you and I talked about it briefly, but this movie is Fear and Loathing without the overt acid trip and like fever dream. Like this is what Fear and Loathing would have been if just like a normal Joe wrote the movie.
Yeah, I would tack on to that the fact that this is Fear and Loathing without the acting skills that were brought to Fear and Loathing.
Yes.
Because Bill Murray, at times, is very good in this.
Yeah.
But there's also times where he just drops like the, Hunter S. Thompson of it all and becomes Bill Murray.
I was literally going to say the exact same thing. Sometimes he breaks character and just does his Bill Murray thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it's kind of like carrying an accent through the whole movie. Just carry the accent through the whole movie.
Yeah, if you're going to choose to do it, you got to do it.
Exactly.
Like, I'll give you a tip. We're getting ready to do an episode, and I was going to do one of our bits at the beginning where like I dress like the character and be all funny. And then I was like, no, because I can't get out of that character and I can't do an entire show as that character. So don't do the bit.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
If you're going to commit, just commit, man. Just commit. But, well, let's get into this because this is my first viewing of this. So I do not remember seeing this at all. So like when it started, I was like, have I? Nope. Totally didn't see this one. But this movie opens in Hunter S. Thompson's cabin, and he's typing away with plenty of drugs and alcohol, and he's up against the deadline for an article about his former attorney, Carl Lazlo, and we then get his narration, which follows throughout the film, about what he's writing.
I think I've done this a few times, but I have to do it pretty much every time.
Corey's Life Lessons!
Hi, writers. Uncle Corey here. Always use copious amounts of drugs and alcohol when writing. And shoot whatever's telling you that you need, like, a deadline, like his telefax or whatever the fuck is going off, and he decides to just shoot the shit out of it. But I just gave you the Bill Clinton thumb. That's so cool. That's what you do, man.
No, in this scene, it's really funny because, like, even in Fear and Loathing, like, obviously the clothes, because of the era, make the movie dated, but it almost seems like a period piece versus, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This was more, I don't know, authentic because it was in such close proximity to the actual time that this stuff took place.
Yeah.
So it had that feel to it. But when he's in the office, in his cabin, and you got the fax machine, which looks like literally the first fax machine ever made. And he starts shooting it. I was like, oh, I kept getting transported to that time. Like, we have this new thing. It's called a telefax. And in 20 minutes, you can get a letter through the phone line.
Your stock reports immediately. Do you need a conversation with China? Use telefax by IBM.
But we then hear cut to 1968, where Thompson's in a hospital room partying with more drugs and alcohol and a nurse.
You got the drugs and alcohol. Just might as well get a nurse too, right?
Hello, nurse.
Am I mistaken, or is the other nurse in this series of scenes here the gym teacher from Porky's? I'm like 90% sure she is.
Anybody else that's clear-minded out there that has watched the film, let us know about that. But Lazlo shows up here. So Lazlo comes in to see Thompson and goes into his room through the window because Thompson has barricaded himself in. And he tells Thompson here that they need to get out. The hospital staff breaks down the door while Thompson and Lazlo escape through the window and get to Lazlo's car and get away.
And if you have seen Fear and Loathing, like, obviously this is based on real people, like Fear and Loathing, like Rum Diary, et cetera, et cetera. So the themes kind of stay the same, which is almost unfair to the movies because it's just an immediate call for judgment in comparison, right? Like, you're just like, well, this worked better here, this worked better here, but the paranoia theme carries over throughout all of these movies. Like, these guys are so paranoid about who's listening, who's watching, the government's coming to get them.
So,
and I am all for it. Be paranoid.
I am too, and I kind of love that about both of the films.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a really quick don't do that here, since you brought it up.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, people who are thinking about dabbling in drugs and alcohol and whatnot. If you're scared of being paranoid, don't do it. Just stay away. Like, if you're like high anxiety, just stay away. Maybe stick to a few beers, but like, don't go this route. This route's not for you. This game is not for you.
Or come see your Uncle Corey, and I'll Sherpa you through this. I'll get you to the other side, bro.
Corey, the drug Sherpa. I like it. We're gonna
bro.
On the road after they leave, Thompson's driving and typing on his huge typewriter as Lazlo comments about the American legal system and its treatment of teenagers on drug charges and yada yada. We then get to the courthouse where Lazlo is about to go before a judge to defend the group of kids who have all been arrested for possession of marijuana. And he pisses off the judge by insisting that he and his clients are all going to trial. I actually really like this scene. Mm-hmm. And this whole scene, including Thompson going out into the hallway of the courtroom, and he's doing like push-ups as his publisher Marty comes over and tracks him down for the article that he's up against the deadline for. And then like this cut back into the court. Like, his Lazlo here is a obviously very subdued version of like what we saw. And again, because we're going to make those comparisons, fair or not. But the calmness and a little bit more subdued version of Lazlo, I really appreciated. And we talked about it when we did Fear and Loathing. In Fear and Loathing, he grossed me the fuck out. And
oh yeah, he was disgusting.
This version of Lazlo was a lot more bearable, and I thought funnier because he was less gross.
I would have liked to have seen Benicio do this role, but with the same tone. You know what I mean? Because obviously, like, everything they were going through, like, he ate all the acid and took a shit in a bathtub. Like, yeah he's fucking gross.
Yes.
But it would have been cool to see Benicio do a scene like this where, you know, he is a little more intimidating.
Yep.
Especially to like that little wormy DA. Because I think that's what they were going for with Peter Boyle was the height and width and just kind of like, because this character is supposed to be like a hulking Samoan man. Just a fucking giant of a human being. Compared to everyone else he's around. So while I do like Peter Boyle a lot, like I fucking love Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I just really liked Benicio del Toro's version a lot more. And I kept wishing in every scene Peter Boyle was in that it was Benicio del Toro.
Are you kidding me?
I know different movies, different actors across the board. I don't want to fucking hear it in the comments, even though I know I'm going to. But in my opinion, I would have loved to have seen what he could have done in a role like that, where it is a little more subdued. And it's not quite as just fucking foot on the gas all the way smashed to the fucking floor. 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. After the court scene, we cut back to Blast Magazine. Marty, paces as he waits for Thompson to bring him his story. Thompson finally shows up, gives Marty his story, and we get Thompson's voiceover here as we see Lazlo in a jail cell with one of his defendants, because the one kid got like 5 years for marijuana possession. Like in the courtroom scene, all the kids they're all going to jail. Like, he gets none of them off. Like, everybody goes to jail, and he goes to jail with them.
He rat fucks all of them, and a lot of this movie seems exaggerated and hyperbole. Like, okay, you're going to run into Richard Nixon taking a piss in the bathroom, and you're going to strip. You know what I mean? Like, some of this is so, like, exaggerated and over the top.
Yeah.
And I get it. That was gonzo journalism. That's what he did. But at the same time, this was just so fucking actually accurate.
Yeah.
To the American legal system at that, like, a marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
To, like, these fucking conservative judges was like goddamn heroin, black tar heroin. And you're shipping it in with, like, you're in connection with the triads, and it's all going fucking down. Like,
absolutely.
It was unbelievable. And that really, like, happened pretty much through now. Yeah. Depending on what state you live in.
Depending on what state you live in and who you're talking to, it's still a gateway drug, and it's get over it.
It's a gateway to a YouTube show. That's what it's a fucking gateway to.
So we cut to Los Angeles, 1972. Thompson shows up to a hotel to cover the Super Bowl. He requests from the front desk clerk all kinds of electronic equipment and food. He gets to his room and immediately trashes it. And he starts bringing the hotel staff in, basically one by one, into his, like, little drug and alcohol fueled world. My favorite part about this, there's a couple of things. One, the gambler, Blackie, the cutbacks to him, and he's all, business, 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 and I'm a professional gambler or whatever the hell. And him telling the two, like, you need to quiet this guy down, like, I'm a professional, and yada, yada. That whole character I loved, just made me laugh. And again, Bill Murray bringing people in basically one by one until the room's filled with all the hotel staff, just all doing drugs and booze and playing random, like, football and dumb shit in his room.
Oh, dude, that was amazing. And I think it leads me right into this.
Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, publishers, editors, whatever. If you are thinking of ever allowing me to travel on your dime, this is exactly what's going to happen.
Absolutely. It's not your money.
To a fucking T, down to the people playing football in the room and the fucking little people dancing with the keys on their fucking necks and shit. It's happening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is one of the scenes where Bill Murray breaks into his Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Like when he's throwing the football and he's on the phone with Marty and yada, yada. Like, this is where he kind of breaks character and just go, like, he was 2 seconds away from, like, Star Wars. Like,
oh, Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars.
Totally. This was basically his character from Meatballs.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. Just like, let's party, let's have a good time, whatever the fuck. Caution to the wind. And again, I mean, this is a comedy. It's not very well known. There are much more egregious examples of people dropping their accents. Leonardo DiCaprio in Gangs of New York. But it still is so noticeable that it's fucking annoying, especially when you're trying to do Hunter S. Thompson, who is such a lively speaker in his own right.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to take that on, you have to take it on. I know Armando said that, and I know why we're fucking harping over an accent in a bullshit movie. But at the same time, if you're going to do it, fucking do it.
Yeah, what
It's
I noticed...
really annoying. That shit pisses me off so much in movies.
Well, no, it pisses me off too, because again, like if you're going to commit. What I noticed is he stays in character when he's got the cigarette holder in his mouth. The minute the cigarette holder comes out of his mouth, he might stay in character for another 5 additional seconds, but then it's like into just him doing him.
Yep.
But
exactly.
The next morning, Thompson is eating breakfast with cocktails as Lazlo shows up in a Nixon mask. Lazlo convinces Thompson to give up on the Super Bowl story and go with him to some unknown destination. And outside, they give their tickets to the Super Bowl, the press pass, room key to 2 random guys, and they leave.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, guys who haven't seen a friend in a minute, and then they show up in a Richard Nixon mask randomly while you're eating breakfast and having cocktails. And they're like, hey, come with me to this place. Where are we going? Don't worry. The minute somebody says, don't worry about it, don't do the next thing. Don't go with them to that undisclosed location. Don't get in the car. Just be like, you know what? I'm not fucking leaving until you tell me exactly where we're going and what's going on. I know Thompson's high and whatever, but even still, that's even more of a reason to not go.
Yeah, especially in a post-Point Break world. If somebody shows up in a dead president's mask, don't go with them. You're going to go skydiving, and then you got to catch a wave, and they're going to kidnap your girlfriend, and you got to fire your gun in the air and go, "Arr!" It's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's too much. On the road here, Lazlo explains that he's become enlightened over the past 4 years, and he's now promoting world revolution by smuggling weapons to revolutionaries with this group of people that I can only describe as like the land of misfit toys.
You were right.
These people are terrible. And I don't mean their ideals or their acting. I just mean is like when God molded a human being, these were the rejects and they just accidentally got pushed into the same box as the rest of us.
That's fair.
Dude, I saw a guy with a wooden nose.
Well, and the one kid that got 5 years for marijuana possession has got like his arm like painted or tattooed or whatever the hell.
Yeah, he went Lord of the Flies real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, in fairness, taking hot fucking jizz in your fucking anal cavity for 5 years will kind of do that to you.
They drive here to Lazlo's camp. This is where we see all the misfit toys. And Thompson sees like their inner workings of the group. And Lazlo here asks Thompson to write the story again about their movement. And Thompson's response here, like basically, he literally said exactly what we just said. Like, have you seen your crew?
Yeah.
This is not happening. Like, this is literally like some dog and pony show that you got fucking running around here.
This would, again, in this situation, I've been pseudo-kidnapped, taken to this fucking place where all these fucking revolutionary guerrillas are around. Fucking Amelia Earhart's gay cousin shows up to fucking buy weapons or whatever. I'm fucking high, I'm drunk, I got all kinds of pills in me. I would literally be the guy that's like, I'll fucking mace you. I'm a weapons expert. I'll mace you, you son of a bitch. I would be losing my fucking mind around these psychos.
No, absolutely. That's the one part of this that I was like, oh yeah, totally Corey. Yeah. Just macing people and like, I just need to get the hell out of here. Like, fuck you crazy people.
I'm done.
We then cut to an open field, and where the planes land, and Lazlo's group is supposed to be like loading up this plane with guns, and when they load the plane, the police helicopter shows up. Lazlo and his group escape on the loaded plane, and Thompson doesn't follow them, and the police chase the plane away, and then Thompson goes on his merry way here.
Now, I might be crazy, but
No.
I'm pretty sure this is the plane that landed 15 years later in desert heat.
You may be right.
Which is why they never came back, because it took them 15 years to fly back to whatever fucking never drug land they live in.
I like it.
It's all coming together.
I like that theory. I'm going with that.
The Earth is flat too.
It cuts to later in 1972. Thompson does his university appearance for like a Q&A with students, and he's late. He eventually goes out there, answers all the questions in his own like drug and alcohol fueled way. And when asked about Lazlo, he says that he hasn't been seen in years and was now believed to be dead. This scene was funny. And I know Fear and Loathing and this, there's a lot of random cutaways and yada yada. But this just didn't seem to fit in the rest of the, I don't know, the structure to this film. It just seemed like it was just thrown in there randomly.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to showcase how famous he had become, I guess.
Yeah.
And this was the only thing they could come up with. But part of the reason the scene doesn't work for me, and I can probably do it best this way.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, people getting ready to ask celebrities and guest lecturers questions at an event. Uncle Corey here. So you're excited to go to Comic-Con, and you got into the Marvel panel, and you get to ask a big question to one of your favorite superheroes. Take a breath, compose yourself, and no matter how inquisitive, enlightening your question may be, no matter how far you think this one question is going to carry you in the rest of your career and your fantasy life, keep it to 2 fucking sentences. Hi, I'm a big fan. Then follow it up with a fucking question. End of the fucking day. This bitch that gets up there asks a question that lasts 6.5 minutes. I would have lost my mind.
Well, even the dude that gets up and asks about Lazlo, his question is long-winded.
Yeah.
It was almost
like, hi, I'm a Sagittarius. My name's Jerry. I'm 6 foot, 235 pounds. And, I really like barbecue. That's not my question. It has nothing to do with my question. But I just wanted you to know I love barbecue short ribs. They're the shit.
He's on a very tight schedule, so we're going to have to keep the questions brief and one at a time, okay?
It's almost like reporters nowadays in 2023 took their cues from these questions in 1980. Every reporter, if you notice, and it doesn't matter whether it's a political reporter, a sports reporter, when they are asking the athlete, the politician, the yada yada questions, it's a paragraph of lead-in, and then what do you think about that at the end? And it's like, no, open-ended, just an open-ended question about this particular topic. That's how you report. That's how you get more information. But even now, they still do shit like that as professionals.
Oh yeah. It's like asking somebody after they won the championship, how do you feel right now? Fucking rookies.
I'm really pissed off. That's how I feel. Pissed off that I got to talk to you. So.
Wait, did you just break character? You mean me?
Yeah. I did.
Oh.
So, I mean, we can continue for the rest of this, but yeah, whatever.
There's a look into how the sausage is made, kids.
So
I'm Tina to his Ike.
Thompson then gets on the press plane that follows Richard Nixon, who is referred to as the candidate throughout this movie. And he scares the other reporters on the flight when he pulls out his hunting knife to slice his grapefruit. Then by speaking into his tape recorder about being dive bombed by poisonous ravens on his way to catch the plane. And the candidate's aide, Dooley, comes in and throws Thompson off the plane. And he puts him on the zoo plane with all of the basically hippies are on the other plane mixed in with a couple of reporters.
Yeah, it's like the cameraman and the sound guy, basically roadies for Metallica. This is what they were doing before they were roadies for Metallica. And I can't believe you're going to skip over the ingenious. He didn't just cut a grapefruit. He cut a grapefruit, hollowed it out a little bit, and then poured vodka in it and sipped the vodka out with grapefruit. That's is the most ingenious scene in the fucking movie. I'm doing this when I fly next, which will probably be in August. See you soon, buddy.
Hey, see you soon. This is a strong move, but this is what professionals like. This is how you know you've gone too far in whatever it is that you're doing.
All right, then I won't do it.
Because this is a professional, like, I've been drinking and my liver is hanging on by a thread kind of move is what this is.
Then I will do it. You're taking me on an emotional roller coaster here, bro.
That's what I do. It's all about dynamics. It's all about dynamics. That's what we do here. He gets on this plane, and the best part about getting on the zoo plane is he runs into Harris, another reporter from the Post. He's obviously the straight man here to Thompson and the rest of the passengers on the zoo plane. And he asks Thompson for some headache medicine, if you will. So Thompson gives him his pills, and soon thereafter, Harris is tripping balls. And by the time the plane lands, Thompson has switched their clothes and is now posing as Harris.
I think I would almost rather ask Bill Cosby for Advil than I would Hunter S. Thompson.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, because when he gets on the original plane, all the reporters know who he is. Like, it's not, he has become, everybody knows. And even if you don't know maybe what he looked like back then, because there wasn't any, Google machine. Once you had heard his name, you're like, oh, that guy. Like the lure of Hunter S. Thompson at that point had grown to such a height. If you're Harris on this and you're like, oh God, splitting headache, these hippies throwing the football and yada, yada, this and that. And Hunter S. Thompson, and it's Hunter S. Thompson, goes, here's a few blue pills to put in your gullet. You'll be good. Just take those. This isn't even a don't do that. This is just a fucking, just take those and throw them on the floor. Or politely say no thank you.
But I want to take them.
But we know you want to take them.
I want to take the blue pills.
I want to take all the drugs. As Thompson here uses the bathroom, Nixon comes in and he takes what I can only describe as like the most painful piss in film history.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. If it takes you this long and hurts this bad to piss, one, you have a kidney stone, or two, you have a raging bout of syphilis. But either way, go to a fucking doctor.
Either that or your prostate's the size of a soccer ball. Like, in the bathroom here, as Nixon takes his painful piss, Thompson then goes into this tirade about the doomed and the screwheads, and he asks Nixon what the country is doing for the doomed, and Nixon replies, fuck the doomed.
Fuck the doomed.
Which is so awesome, by the way. It's such a great response.
I thought you would be offended because you were one of the doomed.
I am one of the doomed.
Italians, they're doomed.
I'm doomed.
We're all doomed.
I have too many Italians that are friends. I'm just doomed by proxy.
Thompson sneaks back onto the reporter plane, disguised as Harris here, and he looks out the window and sees Lazlo walking across the tarmac wearing a white suit, which he hasn't seen. I think at this point, he hasn't seen Lazlo in like 4 years, something along those lines. That we know that amount of time has passed. Lazlo gets on the plane, sits down next to him, and he starts screaming about his plan to buy land in the middle of the desert. And Dooley shows up again here to kick Thompson off the plane. He insults Lazlo, and Thompson punches Dooley in the face. This whole scene, again, going back to the comparison, like this scene is funny, kind of slapsticky kind of deal. And it's almost like a breath of fresh air compared to Fear and Loathing.
Yeah.
Like after the punch, he takes the fire extinguisher and just starts spraying everybody and whoop, whoop, whoop. And, Nixon sticks his head out and gets sprayed. And this is basically where the movie ends. It leads into the ending here. But like I found myself in these scenes, this scene, the hotel scene, laughing out loud. In Fear and Loathing, I found myself like recoiling almost in like this really gross, fearful type of.
Oh yeah.
I didn't find it as outwardly funny. The movie ends here when we cut back to present day at his cabin. Thompson finishes the story that he's been writing, sits down next to the dog and reads him the end of the story. And he ends the movie with, "It still hasn't gotten weird enough for me."
This was very much the light beer version of Hunter S. Thompson stories.
Yep.
Like if your teenage son or daughter was asking who Hunter S. Thompson was, this is what you probably start him off with. You wouldn't just throw him in the deep end.
That's fair.
With Fear and Loathing. And I know we've compared the two a lot, but they really are just two totally different movies. Two totally different interpretations of the time and the situation, and same characters, very different movies.
Yeah, this and Fear and Loathing is like The Godfather 1 and 2 versus The Godfather 3. It's all in the same universe. It's all, it's the same thing. Again, just very different movies. And I know like the third Godfather gets shit on a lot by everybody. But if that movie came out by itself, I think it would have been considered a better movie. But because it was grouped with this, with the other two, that's why it gets shit on as much as it was. But with these two, you only have, there's other movies out there, but these two are always going to get compared.
Oh, yeah.
And we obviously did a lot of comparison, but they're so vastly different. Like this Where the Buffalo Roam was very, it was lighter. It was more comedic. It wasn't, like the Fear and Loathing leaned heavily into the drug use and used a lot of shots. And we even talked about it when we reviewed it. A lot of the director's shots that's fueled by the drugs, the lighting they use, and a lot of the different in the different scenes. This was just very like, hey, this is what Hunter S. Thompson was like, and he did some drugs, and he was kind of funny, and you know what I mean. It was just like you said, it was the light beer version of Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, look,
it's still a good movie.
It sums it up perfectly. Like, if somebody asks, what is Where the Buffalo Roam, I would say it is a late 70s, early 80s Bill Murray driven comedy.
Yeah.
What is Fear and Loathing? It's a Johnny Depp driven movie. Those are the two differences. The two biggest differences. But it's not a bad movie. It's just very, very different. That's all.
Yep.
In its own right, like you said with Godfather 3, in its own right, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
When you start comparing it to the other ones, it starts to look a little rough.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, that's all I really got. I enjoyed this. This is my first time viewing, from what I remember, but you know, I do drink a lot. So I really enjoyed it. And again, it allowed me to enjoy Hunter S. Thompson's life without being severely grossed out. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, this made me want to do drugs, not get off of them.
That's another fair point. That is another fair point. Fear and Loathing is the warning. This one is just like, drugs seem fun.
Mm-hmm.
Which, is that not what the 80s were about?
Oh, I mean,
So-
shit, the 80s, that's pretty much what my 44 years on this planet have been about. That
my
seems
God,
like
but-
it'd be fun. That's a pretty color pill.
Oh my God. But yeah, that's all I got. I honestly, I really liked this one. I liked it as the lighter version of Hunter S. Thompson's life. I enjoyed it for a first time viewing.
Yeah, in all honesty, my only beef with it was Peter Boyle. There's just such a stark difference in that character that was literally the only thing that really bothered me. But other than that, yeah, I really liked it.
Good. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
That's all I got too. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1980s Where the Buffalo Roam.